Ritsuka let out a sigh as he was sitting at the table, playing with his food as he kept moving his spoon in the bowl of soup. "Senpai?" Mashu asked as she sat down next to Ritsuka. "HM? Oh, hey Mashu," Ritsuka replied. "Senpai, is there something wrong?" "Well, there's something on my mind recently." "Really? What is it?" "Well, you remember what Magecraft Shirou and his future counterparts use, right?" "You mean projection Magecraft?" Mashu asked. "Yes," Ritsuka replied. "What about it, Senpai?" "Well, you know how that with projection Magecraft, Shirou and his future counterparts can practically replicate any object as long as there is no divinity in it?" "Yes. But why are you asking me about that, Senpai? Do you wish to learn that as well?" "Well, no, but it got me thinking about something. Since they can replicate anything that doesn't involve any divinity, I want to try to test something out." "And what would that be?" "To see if he can project anything based on looking at the image itself." "I see. But how are you going to make it work?" "Well, I'm going to need some help," Ritsuka said as he finished the last drop of his soup. "Follow me." Ritsuka soon left the cafeteria with Mashu following her. Soon they arrived at the one place that holds the thing that will make Ritsuka's experiment work. Da Vinci's workshop. "Da Vinci, are you in there?" Ritsuka said. "Yeah? What is it?" "Well, I have an experiment I want to try, and it involves Shirou and his magecraft." Upon hearing that Ritsuka's experiment involves Emiya Shirou and his magecraft, Da Vinci immediately stopped at what she was doing, headed towards the front door, and opened it. "What kind of experiment are we talking about here?" she asked with a smile on her face. A few hours later, Shirou let out a sigh at the situation he was in. Right now, he was in Chaldea's testing room in which he was alone in the center of the room while Ritsuka, Mashu, and Da Vinci were in a corner of the room. Ritsuka and Mashu were doing nothing but watching while Da Vinci was on a computer that was hooked up to a giant screen that was in front of Shirou. "What is up with Master today?" "Just earlier, I was just done fixing with something earlier, and then out of nowhere, Master grabbed me and dragged me to the testing room here. Not only that, but Da Vinci is here as well. Something tells me that there's going to be a crazy event that is going to happen now, and why me of all people? Why not ask my future counterparts?" "Shirou-san, are you okay?" Mashu asked, cutting Shirou off from his thoughts. "HM? Oh, yeah. Just wondering about something. Anyways, why am I brought here?" Da Vinci let out a smirk. "Great question, Shirou. You see, Ritsuka here was curious about your magecraft here, so he asked me for a little experiment he wanted to do." "Really now? And what experiment would that be?" "Simple. We just want to see how projection works on other things beside weapons." "Is that so? How is that going to work then?" "Simple. All we have to do is show you an image on the wall and see if you can project it or not. Now, let's get Ritsuka's experiment going." "But why me? Why not any of my future counterparts?" "Well, you just happen to be needy." Shirou sighed again. "Sometimes I will never know what goes on in Da Vinci's head, maybe Master's too." Soon, an image on the screen appeared in front of Shirou. The image itself was an image of a hammer. "You want me to trace that, Da Vinci?" Shirou asked. "Yes." Shirou then took a small breath and raised one of his hands. "Trace on." In an instant, the hammer that was in the image appeared in Shirou's hands. "Here, Da Vinci," Shirou said as he gave the traced hammer to Da Vinci. Da Vinci then examined the hammer carefully. "HM. The hammer Shirou just traced now is like the one from the image earlier. The design, the detail, the weight, everything about it is like the original." Guess his magecraft applies to not only weapons. This is getting exciting. I wonder if the same can be applied to other stuff as well, she thought as more ideas about the experiment came to her mind. Da Vinci? Shirou said, snapping Da Vinci out of her daydreams of the experiment. HM? Ah. It's nothing. Anyways, let's continue with the experiment. Da Vinci said with some stutters in her voice. Meanwhile, Ritsuka and Mashu looked at Da Vinci's behavior and was surprised with how she was acting. Senpai, don't you think that Da Vinci has been acting weird ever since she heard about the experiment that involves Shirou-san and his magecraft? Mashu asked. You may be right about that. Ever since I told Da Vinci the experiment and how it involves Emiya Shirou and his magecraft, her face and mood looked like a kid who was playing with the newest toy that came out, Ritsuka replied. Yeah. I've never seen Da Vinci ever get this excited over an experiment before. Do you think it's because Shirou-san can practically copy anything as long as it isn't a divine object? Probably. But still though, even though this is an experiment I wanted to try out, it feels like this is an experiment Da Vinci created. Ritsuka muttered in fear. Anyways, let's go on to the next image. Da Vinci said as she moved the image on the screen to the next image. The next image itself was a box. Try tracing that next. Okay. Shirou then raised one of his hands again. Trace on. In an instant, a box appeared in front of Shirou. Like this? Da Vinci then went over to where Shirou was and like the hammer, she examined the box carefully. Like the hammer before, the box Shirou traced just now is like the same in the image. Not only that, but the quality of the box itself is like the image itself as well. If Shirou's magecraft can replicate objects, then I wonder what would happen if he would try to replicate food. Da Vinci? Are you okay? Ritsuka asked, snapping her out of her thoughts. HM? Oh yeah. Anyways, let's move on then. Da Vinci then went back to the computer to change the image on the screen in front of Shirou. In an instant, the image of the box changed and switched to what it appears to be a plate of food. The plate of food itself was a burger with a side of fries and a shake. Shirou was surprised at what Da Vinci wanted him to trace. Da Vinci, you want me to project that? He asked as he pointed at the burger meal in front of him. Yeah. Do you have any problem with that? Da Vinci replied. Well, no. To be honest, this is the first time I've ever used projection for food like this actually. Ritsuka, Mashu, and Da Vinci were surprised about what Shirou said. Really? They said in unison. Yeah. When it comes to the issue of food, I just make it with my own hands. But projecting it? That's the last thing I would have ever thought to do. Is that so? Then shall we skip it? Ritsuka asked. Well, no actually. This is the first time I'm projecting food and to be honest, a part of me wanted to see what would happen. I see. Well then, shall we continue? Mashu asked. Shirou nodded in response to Mashu's question and raised one of his hands. Trace on. In an instant, the same burger meal that the image showed in front of Shirou. Everyone in the room was surprised at the feat Shirou had did. But the one that was most surprised out of them all was Shirou himself. Wow. I did not expect that. Well, guess I'm able to project food now. But how does it taste? Shirou thought as he examined the burger meal. Shirou/Shirou-san? Ritsuka, Mashu, and Da Vinci said, snapping Shirou out of his thoughts. HM? Ah, it's nothing. Anyways, it seems like I'm able to project food as well, surprisingly. Upon hearing what Shirou just said, Ritsuka, Mashu, and Da Vinci went over to see what the results were. As they arrived to where Shirou was, they were in awe over how accurate the result was to the image. Wow. It even looks like the one in the image, senpai, Mashu said. Yeah. But how does it taste? Ritsuka said. Well, let's find out and see. Da Vinci said. In an instant, Ritsuka, Mashu, and Da Vinci grabbed a piece of the burger each and took a bite. As, upon taking that bite, they were immediately surprised that it even has flavor. Well? Shirou asked. Shirou, it seems that projection does work on food completely, Ritsuka said as he was chewing on his piece. Yeah. The projected burger has flavor, Mashu said. I'll admit, even I am surprised by this, Da Vinci said. I see. Guess I'm able to project food to the point where how it should taste, Shirou said. Yeah, Ritsuka said as he, Mashu, and Da Vinci soon finished the burger meal. Alright, shall we move on then? Yeah, Shirou said. Soon Ritsuka, Mashu, and Da Vinci soon headed back to where the computer was. As they did, Da Vinci immediately switched the image of the burger meal to a new image. The next image itself was a black and white Kawasaki Ninja 400 motorcycle. Okay Shirou, try to project this motorcycle next, Da Vinci said. Okay Da Vinci, Shirou replied. He then brought out one of his arms and said his aria. Trace on. In an instant, a black and white Kawasaki Ninja 400 motorcycle appeared in front of Shirou. When the motorcycle appeared, Ritsuka immediately went towards it and looked at it in marvel. Wow! This is a Kawasaki Ninja 400 motorcycle. Ritsuka said. Eh? Senpai, you know what brand that motorcycle is? Mashu asked. Yes. Believe it or not, I was an advocate fan of motorcycles and would spend most of my time in my childhood collecting motorcycle figurines. I also know a few brands of motorcycles and which model it is. I see. While Shirou, Ritsuka, and Mashu were looking at the motorcycle, Da Vinci was taking note with the items Shirou has projected. So, Shirou can project anything that does appear on the screen, which includes normal items like boxes, food, tools, and vehicles. If that's the case, then what would happen if I ask him to project that? As Da Vinci was thinking about the end results, she had a smile on her face. Well, time to find out then. Da Vinci then called Shirou, Ritsuka, and Mashu out. Okay. Shirou, now we only have one more thing for you to trace. Really? Yeah. Ritsuka, Mashu, would you mind stepping back away from Shirou for a moment? Yes, Ritsuka and Mashu replied. Soon Ritsuka and Mashu stood back away from Shirou. Alright. Now Shirou, here's your final object to project. Da Vinci exclaimed excitedly as she pressed a button on the laptop. When the next image appeared, Shirou, Ritsuka, and Mashu were surprised at what object Shirou must project. The object was a mobile suit like the 00 Razor Mystic Code Shirou possessed, and yet different. The mobile suit itself was mostly white with some red, black, and blue, has wings on the back, a gold frame, a different yet similar head, different shoulders, arms, and legs. Its chest area has a cannon in the middle, hip-mounted railguns, 2 beam saber handles, and 2 beam rifles. Da Vinci, is that? Shirou stuttered. Yes Shirou. What are you seeing right now is the ZGMF X-20A Strike Freedom Gundam. Da Vinci replied with a smile on her face. Shirou, Ritsuka, and Mashu were surprised with how Da Vinci knew the mobile suit's name. Upon looking at it, Ritsuka realized something. Da Vinci. Did you look into my collection of anime by any chance? Ritsuka asked. Well, maybe? Da Vinci replied with a sly grin on her face. Da Vinci. Why? Mashu asked. Well, after seeing the success of the projections Shirou was doing, I want to see what would happen if he would project something like this. And plus, didn't you say you wanted to be a Gundam earlier? Well, yeah, but still, will this work? I mean, this is from another franchise. It doesn't exist in real life, Ritsuka said. That's what we're about to find out now. Anyways, Shirou, let us begin the final experiment. Da Vinci said excitedly. Shirou let out a sigh. Da Vinci, just what goes into your mind? Why do you think of things like this? Well, no point to thinking about this forever, time to move on. Shirou then brought one of his hands out and began to say his aria. Trace on. In an instant, there was a giant light appearing in front of Shirou and the others. For a moment, Shirou and the others had to cover their eyes over how bright the light was. When the light dimmed down, Shirou and the others were surprised with the sight in front of them. Because in front of them was the Strike Freedom Gundam in its glory. Every detail of it was completely copied from the image itself. Well, is that what you wanted, Da Vinci? Shirou said while catching breath from projecting a mobile suit. Da Vinci smiled. Yes. Ritsuka, what do you think? It's amazing. The design, the detail, everything about it is perfect. It's like if I'm in episode 39 of Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny, where Kira Yamato receives the Strike Freedom for the first time in the hangar bay of the Eternal. Da Vinci. I'm going to need a giant ladder later to see if I get in this. As you wish. Just give me a moment. Da Vinci said as she left the room for a moment to grab a ladder from her workshop. Ritsuka then turned his attention back to the traced Strike Freedom Gundam. Oh my god, it's a dream come true. I finally have a Gundam to pilot. And it's the Strike Freedom, he said excitedly. S-senpai. Please calm down. Mashu said, trying to calm Ritsuka down. Shirou let out a sigh at what just happened. Well, this could be possibly one of the weirdest things I have ever traced. Wonder how will Muramasa take it? Meanwhile, in Shirou's reality marble, Muramasa was just relaxing in the confines of the copied Emiya residence inside of Shirou's reality marble. As he was relaxing, he noticed a few objects suddenly appeared in front of him. First was the hammer, then was the box, the burger meal, and the motorcycle. Muramasa shrugged at it. The kid's projecting something new again? Well, that's interesting. Never seen that contraption before. Although I'm surprised he can do that to food. Wonder what's next. He said to himself. As soon as he said that, the Strike Freedom Gundam just appeared in front of him, shocking him greatly upon seeing it. What the heck is that? Muramasa yelled as he saw the Strike Freedom Gundam. Omake. Shirou was walking in the hallway, minding his own business. As he was walking, it was then that three goddesses came up to him. Emiya-kun. Shirou turned around to see Ishtar, her rider counterpart, and Ereshkigal coming up behind him. Eh? Ishtar? Ereshkigal? Emiya-kun? I have a favor to ask of you. Can you do it? Ishtar and her counterpart said. What is it? Ishtar and her rider counterpart took a deep breath in unison before asking, can you project some jewels for us? Shirou was surprised for a moment. Huh?